Great.
Good morning. What's happening? Asphalt Life community, welcome to the Wednesday weekly webinar. This is our AtlasPro webinar series we're doing every week while you guys are trying to pivot in your businesses, becoming more virtual, investing in training opportunities. So if you're on here, that is fantastic. It's 10 o'clock on April 8th. And we're excited to be joined by none other than Jim Johnson with Contractor Coach Pro. So welcome, Jim. How are you today?
I am doing fantastic, man. I'm ready to go as I try to be every day, and it's I'm honored to be here. I love what you guys do and how you work with contractors. Your culture is fantastic.
Well, we appreciate it. We appreciate you spending some time with us because I think these are really, really important topics right now that you have really put a lot of time and thought into on your platform and getting contractors prepared for, what has all of a sudden become a really, really important topic that I think a lot of people were dabbling in, but now they're taking it very seriously. And I think our industry is going to be forever changed because of this. So there's lots of ways to look at this, but I think taking action, being proactive, and evolving as you state here are really, really important. So Tiara is with us as well. Good morning, Tiara.
Hey guys, how are you?
Doing good.
I am fantastic.
Yeah, we're recording, we're live, we've got people logging on, and we are also streaming on Facebook Live, right, Tiara?
We're live on Facebook, so jump on our Facebook page. If you're on there, good morning. Glad to see all of our wonderful Asphalt Life community this morning. We're excited because we're putting out, really trying to focus on putting out some content that can really help you all in your business with all of the realities of virtual that you're seeing. We really want to be effective and show you effective ways. And so, I mean, the best of the best is with us today, and excited, as Stan said, to have you with us, Jim.
I'm pumped. I get to let everybody kind of see this roadmap that we're working on with everybody on this virtual contractor thing. And I think I got some cool things to share that, maybe people can go do this thing on their own. We're trying to help as many contractors as we possibly can through this whole event. And so it should be interesting.
Yeah, excellent. Well, let's go ahead and kick things off. I think we got most of the people that were in the waiting room are in and ready to rock. Just a couple of reminders. We are doing these weekly webinars, but we're also doing AtlasPro Talk every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. So a few times a week. At 4:30, we're doing AtlasPro Talk, really just talking to contractors, also Atlas sales reps from around the country and other partners, people that are just trying to share best practices about what they're doing. Some of that certainly related to the current situation, but also just generally speaking. So tune into Facebook Live, 4:30 Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. And we just had Chuck Allen with Rio Blanco Roofing on yesterday, and we're super excited to have the ASAP Roofing guys from none other than East Texas on tomorrow. So we're looking forward to that Thursday event. And we'll also have John Dye with Art of the Supplement on tomorrow. So a really great one there for AtlasPro Talk. But you guys are here to see Jim, so let's get right into the content today. Tiara, why don't you introduce our special guest, Jim Johnson?
Yeah, well, Jim, I've had the pleasure to work with Jim for, I think it's been like 2 years now, Jim, which is really cool. And, one of the things, obviously, Jim has been working in the industry for 23 years, but one of the things that I'm most impressed about you is just your holistic view of approaching contractor success. You don't just look at it from one angle, but even like you guys see here his beliefs shirt, right? And he was walking around every day at IRE with a broken Achilles, trying to coach contractors on one leg. And I'm like, Jim, what are you doing? I got to get the word out. I got to help some people. And so, yeah, if you have not experienced Jim, he's coached over 300 contractors. He believes in coaching both business and life strategy. He has a holistic approach. He does one-on-one coaching, but you got to talk to this guy. You got to spend some time with him, especially now. The whole, I would say this, wave that we're on, you guys were totally thinking in the right direction with the new Engage platform. And so I'm super excited for our contractors to learn more about it. So let's jump into today's agenda. today we're going to talk about how to become an effective virtual contractor. I think the word virtual, Stan mentioned it yesterday on the Pro Talk chat. It's like virtual is this word that we're all throwing out in whatever ways that virtual means to you. But how do you become effective in what you're doing in a virtual market? And so the goal today is to help contractors to develop a virtual strategy, because that's really what you need. When there's a lot of noise in the marketplace, what we found is you got to have a plan, and that plan will help you to be really successful. So there's lots of points that we'll walk through. It is not if, but how. We'll talk about fortune favors the bold. We'll talk about the situation and the evolution of it. Dive into 10 things to do right now. Go through some top level strategy items, and then the virtual contractor strategy guide, and then do a quick recap. So Jim, as always, has packed a ton of really great information in. So jump in the chat. Let us know that you're here. Say hello to Jim. Put lots of comments in. If you're on Facebook, we want to see, we're monitoring those questions and comments throughout the webinar, and we're excited. So without further ado, Jim, I'm going to stop sharing and pass it on to you.
All right, and I'll start sharing. So right up with the next slide here. First off, hey, thanks everybody for hanging out today, tuning in. Our whole purpose is to empower people to believe, and not just believe in themselves, but believe in us to help you guys along the way. And we've kind of been working on this whole virtual contractor thing for the last couple of years. The reason for that is the fact that we could see that you could buy a car online. As soon as I saw you could buy a car online, I'm like, all right, I would really like to test drive a car before I actually buy one, but people are buying them online. I think you could buy a roof easier. And so we started putting this together a couple of years ago. We were probably 80% of the way there by the first of this year. And we put it on our strategy for bringing it out in January of 2021. And then, holy cow, I got a virus situation and this quarantine thing. So we worked for about 2.5 weeks to get this thing up and running. We were working about 16 hours a day, and we were able to get that out on March 23rd. We've already got about 40 contractors in there, and they're getting their strategies in place and getting all the tools and everything that they may need, because it isn't if. We can do this. I was signing contracts by fax machine back in the 90s. So it's not like this is a new thing to sign somebody without ever talking to them and do their work and get paid and all that other good stuff. With technology today, it has actually become easier. You got aerial measurements and 3D measurements, you got visualization tools, you got all of this stuff, Zoom meetings like we're having today, Facebook Live. There's so many ways to do it, but which way is the right way? What order do you do it in? And what's my strategy? Exactly what do I say? How does it change the interaction between you and that customer? And so, you got to think about, how am I going to lead this remote team? Like, we can't even be, within 6 feet, 10 feet of each other. A lot of you are in stay-at-home type situations. And so you're trying to lead this team all over the place and hold them accountable, get them to get out of bed and go to work. Like, there's all of that stuff, right? And so how are you going to go about doing that? How are you going to adjust your process? And there's a couple of different areas in there that are really important for you to understand. How are you going to communicate? And because we've kind of got this idea, well, we can do a Zoom meeting, right? Like, we can hop on that. Well, what if the person you're talking to doesn't know anything about Zoom? And I saw last night on Facebook, well, I can FaceTime somebody. Well, guess what? I don't have an Apple phone, so I'm probably not going to FaceTime you. So how do you account for all of those different nuances where before you could talk to everybody and now you can't? Generate new business. How are you going to do that? We've found that to be the most difficult aspect of things. Like, how do we handle, all of these, this new situation of marketing? Like, a lot of you guys knock doors. Like, that was the total thing your business revolved around. And now all of a sudden somebody turned it all off. Like, you just can't do it anymore. And some of you are still doing it, and you're trying to practice all the safety rules and CDC, but everybody's in a different place on this. And so how are you going to sell online effectively? Selling online and virtually is completely different than selling in person. You can't just rely on your boyish good looks and your ability to get along with everybody and all that other good stuff like you have. You actually have to be kind of a sales pro and understand it in a virtual world. And then how are you going to create these raving fans that go, wow, that experience might actually have been better than me having somebody come to my house. So let's move on and what we've got to think about. So we got to understand the situation. So you've got education. Education is going to be key in this because everybody's in a different place of fear. You know, this COVID-19 thing out there, we've kind of looked at it that they're in really 4 different places of fear. There's this, you know, complete and utter just scared, right? They're sitting in their house and like locked in their room and they don't want to get out and they don't want to get around anybody. Then you have the folks that are dismissive, like, hey, don't step on my freedom and all that other good stuff. And hey, we need to get back to work. And then you have the conspiracy theorists, like everybody's out to get me. And then you have kind of these responsible folks that are like, hey, let's follow CDC guidelines. Let's do the social distancing. Let's slow this thing down if we can. So you got people in 4 different places and you don't know where they are. You got to figure that out before you even have a conversation. And so how do you go about doing that? And then the idea of the consumer mindset. I look at it this way. I sit there and I think about things moving forward. I try to think into the future as far as possible. And I know for a fact, and I'd love to see from you guys on what you guys think, but would you prefer to order something off of Amazon or walk into Walmart? Now, I would bet 90% of people go, man, give me Amazon, send it to my house. Don't make me go in there, you know, people of Walmart and all that other good stuff that you see online. And so if that's the case, the consumer's head is already there. If I can buy it online, I will. And we can actually provide them everything they need to buy online and actually set it up to be something where, you know, when they get to you, they're ready to either make that decision or not. Technology's been there for quite some time, whether it's e-documents and, you know, client portals through CRMs, tools like Company Cam. There's all these tools, iRoofing, you name it. There's all these different tools that allow you to go out there and do what you need to do. Atlas, I'm sure, supplies all kinds of tools along those lines as well in their program. And really this idea, is there an opportunity in all this? And if you guys didn't know this, some of the largest companies in the world, Disney, Microsoft, Google, CNN, all of them started in a recession, in a downturn in our economy. So there's this, hey, everything got crazy. And now somebody's going to go, hey, I think I got this figured out. And they're going to work it out and they're going to get ahead of everybody else. And they're going to see this as an opportunity to like shut people out once this gets over with. And so that's how we're looking at this opportunity. And then your team's mindset. What's going on there? Do they like see a plan? Do they understand the vision? Are they kind of sitting out there on an island all by themselves? You really got to get them on board with you. So the top 10 things you got to do right now. First off, you get your mind right. You're the leader. You're the owner of your business. You may be a key manager in your business. If your mind's not right, everybody's looking at you and they're looking for you to be the rudder. You know, you're the person steering the ship and they really need you to stand up right now. And so you got to get your mind right. You got to see that there's an opportunity. You got to develop a little bit of a plan and a strategy and then share that vision with everybody to get them on board. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Now, the things that like focus on, whatever business you got sitting out there right now, you better go lock it down. If you got somebody that's a prospect that was about to sign, somebody that just signed and you're working with them, somebody that you're in production and ready to go do the work, they got lots of things running through their mind right now. And if you don't get to them and say, hey, we got this, we have a process, we have a system, nothing's going to stop the way we proceed with this. We even have some solutions for you when it comes to the economy, and give them this education, you're not going to get past the fear and they're going to make up their own minds on what they do. And you don't want to text them. You don't want to email them. You need to pick up the phone and actually talk to somebody. So lock your business down. That's number one. Number two, collect your AR. You're going to need the cash flow because you're going to have this little gap in this. And we don't know if that's 4 weeks, 6 weeks, a couple of months, 3 months, like it's still up in the air. And so we're going to need all the cash flow we can get. So if you got any little repairs out there and you are still an essential business, get out there and get them done so you can collect your money and get everybody on it. Chain of command plan. What happens if somebody gets sick? You know, owner, one of the managers, a salesperson, who takes over in that situation? So you need to get that written down. Financial distress plans. So, hey, we get into a situation where, hey, we're just not making it. What are you doing with the SBA loans and those things that are out there, the stimulus package, and are you proceeding with that? Our advice on that is every single person should have already filled that out and got that into their bank right now, just in case, right?
And some banks, Jim, I heard this weekend, some banks are actually stopping for now and receiving them, the loans. So, you know, if you haven't already gotten it in, hopefully most of you have. We talked with a couple of contractors last week that said, yeah, I already have my paperwork done. It's already with the bank. We're just waiting to hear back and get the funds. So if not, just keep looking for banks that are accepting those loans, because I know that, you know, that's going to be really important.
Yeah, all 40 of our contractors had their paperwork in on the opening day. Like that was, let's get it in, because they needed to get it in. And so it's just things like that, like you understanding. And so understanding your numbers. If at no other time have you sat down and understood what your numbers are, it is paramount at this point. Understanding what your profit is, what your expenses are, what your break even is, and then having to make some pretty serious decisions on when do I pull the cord on my parachute and say, hey, I got to let somebody go because of where we're at, or I can hire somebody. We're actually doing well. And then who gets paid? And so for me, the way I look at it, and this is my opinion, you guys can take it for what it's worth, my people get paid first. And so they're going to get paid. I'm not going to let them not get paid. I made a deal with them. I'm going to keep that deal for as long as I can. I'm going to stay in business. As a matter of fact, what I did is I quit taking a salary of any kind. And I will for as long as I need to make sure that we get through this as well, because we're having to do the same thing you guys are doing. We had to pivot pretty hard in our world. And so far, so good. It's been good. But I got a plan for that. I got to be smart about that. Next on the list is my subcontractors. They're the folks that do the work for you. Those guys got to get paid. I want to make sure that they get paid because I want to retain them. And then third are your strategic partners, your vendors. And so folks like Atlas and anybody that helps you get your work done, you got to make them priority. Everything after that, if I got it, I'll pay you. If I can't, let's have a conversation about what the strategy is to get that done.
Yeah.
So develop your process and market. And so I've got this process I got to come up with now, this kind of no touch type thing. And it's called all kinds of different stuff. I would say be creative there and get it at least nailed down at a high level so that you've got something that you can use to market with, to put people at ease and educate them that, hey, we got this. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
And then start building your virtual strategy, because it's not just simply doing the e-documents, being able to meet on Zoom and marketing online. There's got to be a strategy behind it and an order to things. So I'm going to walk through that today, kind of help you guys see how you might do that. Before we get there though, you got to look at everything through this lens or microscope. What are we capable of as far as skills and talents and resources? Because you may need to incorporate some things into your business that you weren't doing before if you have the right skills, talents, and resources to do so. So if I got somebody that's Mr. Social Media, well, maybe they can take over some of our ad work and posting and learn some of that. If they're very good with words and things like that, and they're naturally a good communicator, maybe I could get them into writing copy and get those type of things. Maybe I have the money to do some things, maybe I don't. So that's how you're looking at everything, as I'm assessing my team and my resources. Then I'm deciding who my champions are. Who are these guys that are going to take things on? And when I say champion, I don't mean like they won something, like they're a champion of a cause. And so they're the champion of getting the CRM nailed down and these new tools that you might use. They're the champion of social media. They're the champion of Google AdWords and analytics. They're the champion of getting you on TV. They're different champions for different things, because different skills, talents, and resources apply to them. And then you've got to make some decisions based on that information. What do we do in-house and what do we have to now outsource that we maybe didn't have to do before? So this rest of this I go through, you're looking at it through that lens the whole way through. So this is the Virtual Contractor Strategy Guide. This is the order in which we're going through things with our folks. We meet with them every day at 2:30 in the afternoon Central Time. It's a 30-day virtual contractor challenge, and we're getting them flipped from where they were before, no matter how far along the path they were, all the way to being able to operate in a virtual world in 30 days. So leadership comes first. You got to be positive. You got to be calm but confident. You've got to be this person that we call them the 6 E's of effective leadership. We think it's a really easy way to remember how to be a great leader. You got to engage your people with this vision that you're going to go after this thing and you guys can do this and we can do it with you. This is the plan. This is where you fit into it. This is the benefit to you if you jump on board. You got to engage people. You got to educate them and let them know what you're dealing with, show them all the processes, get all the tools put together and get them educated and practice and role play. You got to set the example. Everybody's looking at you. Every single person is looking at you and going, hey, are they up to the task or not? Are they run from the battle or are they run to the battle? Are they an ostrich or an eagle? You know, burying your head in the sand, just going, please God, help us through this. Or are you going to be somebody that flies high and says, hey, we got this? Encourage your people. If you haven't done it, we tend to be more discouraged. Like every time something's a negative, we jump all over them and spend 30 minutes or an hour talking about it. And we might every once in a while recognize when they do something good for about 5 minutes. We need to flip that paradigm. And so you need to encourage your folks. You need to empower them to take on.
We're seeing that a lot of people are definitely, you know, looking for that team camaraderie now. And like you were saying about the leadership, you know, we're seeing that a lot of people really just want someone, you know, that leadership strategy to be implemented so that they know what the plan is up front, because I think that's so important, just knowing that your leader has a vision. They know what, you know, is happening. They know everyone's scared or has some fears, and so, you know, having some steps that you can put in place is so important.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like they're at home right now. They're on an island. They're not having that interaction with you daily that you normally would. And so you want to make sure that you incorporate that into your leadership. One of the things that we share about that, and I really, you know, I like the number 7. It's a faith number. If anybody knows me, they kind of know that's something about me. And with a 7-minute huddle every day. So first thing in the morning, get everybody out of bed, 7 or 8 o'clock. Let's hop online. We're gonna have a 7-minute huddle. Check in with each other. How you doing? High fives, encouragement. What are we gonna get done today? And then cut everybody loose. But that's not it. You know, you're gonna be doing that stuff throughout this whole process. Empowering those people, those champions that you found, empower them. Don't try and do the job for them. Tell them what the result is you're looking for and let them run with it. Give them that opportunity to step up into a role of leadership. And then last but not least, the hardest one is to set what your accountabilities are, your expectations, and then hold people accountable to those. Because if you don't, you're letting them down and you're letting your business down. So you got to share that vision, and you got to share, you know, exactly how you're going to lead. It is time to step up. You're the one everyone is watching.
You know, it's interesting, Jim. A lot of, I think, leaders, you know, generally speaking, feel like they've got to do a lot. They've got to do it all, right? But I think that whole idea of expecting and empowering is really important right now. Some of the best ideas for how to move your business forward should and can and will come out of people in your organization if you give them that ability to go get creative and help you as part of that process. And I think that's a big part of being a good leader is allowing your people to do what they do best right now, you know, and it's find new and creative ways to help move the business forward. So empowering is a really important thing, as well as giving people the ability to go try some things.
Yeah, and it's not just saying go try some things. It's giving them the authority too. In other words, people can't run around behind them and come to daddy and say, hey, mommy's not letting me do this. And then you cut the legs out from underneath mommy, right? That's not cool. You eviscerate their leadership in a very bad way, and it'll take them down. So let them run through it. When they hit struggles and stuff like that, be ready to coach, but let them do their thing. So the next aspect of this is financial strategy. So a lot of times in our world, we tend to go to the house and pick up the money. It seems like that's a common thing. So how are you going to change that? Do you have an online portal they can pay through? Are you going to send them invoices through your online bookkeeping? Are you going to send it by snail mail? Do you have other ways? Can you take credit cards and stuff like that? Can you do financing? Those things are all things that you're going to need to really consider hard here, because they're going to become paramount, especially on that financing thing. People are worried about this economy. They're not wanting to let go of big lump sums of cash at one time. How are you going to offer that and then convince them that that's okay? And so we've actually built some strategies around that. Knowing your numbers is on your end as a business, your operating expenses, budget, cash flow, and be prepared for tough decisions. Know when to make those tough decisions, because a lot of times we tend to be a little bit too nice. It's one thing I noticed about owners. Boy, they'll do whatever and they can, and they just love on people so much and they want them to be successful and they'll stick with them forever. But if they're not hitting those expectations and we're not financially going to make it, I have to decide to pull the chute, right? Like, okay, unfortunately, we've got to do this at this time. I hope I can bring you back, but at this time, this is where we are. And be honest with your people. Let them know that that is a thing, like it's a possibility, and that you're trying your best and doing your best. They'll have way more respect for you than painting this rosy picture that everything's going to be okay, and then you pull the rug out from underneath them. That's going to send dissension through the ranks immediately. And so the number one reason contractors go out of business is bad financial management. We're not very good at it. It's the number one thing we noticed as we work with contractors. We actually brought on a financial coach just for this reason. Her name's Jenny, and she works with our contractors on every single Thursday. We're meeting about financial and accountability and those type of things. And she's been amazing for helping everybody get through this. So the next side of things is process. And so we built that high level process, like, yeah, can we do this no touch thing? Sure. I can show up at your house, hop on your roof. We don't have to come in contact. I can FaceTime you or call you and that type of thing. So high level. And then, the rest of the way, can we take these steps? We certainly can, but that's very high level. What you need to do is you need to take that thing and develop a written process in detail, every little detail. And so the first thing, and so I have a mistype there. I'm sorry about that. Where it says phone, that should say milestones. I don't know how that word got in there, but that should say milestones. So you got to develop the different milestones along the way for your process. And so it might be lead, appointment, presentation, and so on. Like, you got those different big milestones, and they may not necessarily match up with your CRM. And everybody goes, well, I got a process, I got a CRM. Well, last I checked, there's not a CRM that tells me when I'm supposed to send an invoice. There's not a CRM that says how I'm supposed to set up my ladder. There's not a CRM that tells me how to hold a Zoom meeting. There's not a CRM that does any of that stuff. And that's what your process needs to do. It needs to be every task, every condition of those tasks. So if there's some detail that needs to be filled in there, the tool you're going to use, the role that's going to do it, and the time it's going to take. Because if you can put time to something, you can now measure that process and improve it. You also can build job descriptions from assigning roles to each one of them. You can define that process and share it virtually and say, this is what you do, and this is what everybody else does. And now you can see how everybody interacts, and you really create an assembly line. Think of it as franchise model, McDonald's. Like, I want to be able to go boom, 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 and we don't deviate from that. We can't get outside of that. And then you want to convert that thing to kind of a flow chart, a high level flow chart, to show people that flow so everybody's on the same page. If a process can be clearly defined, it can be held accountable, and if it can be measured, it can be improved. So one thing, everybody may notice me looking to the side over here. Those of you that are on the webinar, if you put questions in, I'll answer them as we go along. I'm trying to keep up with those. I'm also doing a watch party on Facebook. So if you guys are putting comments there, I'm trying to keep up with all of it. There's a lot of things going on right here.
A lot of stuff happening. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll try and keep up with that. And same for Tiara and Stan. If you have questions as we go through this, you think, hey, this is a question a contractor might have, pop it in here and I'll get them answered. So next stage of this strategy guide, like, this is kind of an order of things: communication. So we've got to communicate with people. So there's three things I'm looking at. They're like, this is my goal. I got to get these things. I need a cell number. I need their Facebook profile so I can message them, or I need their email address. Those are the big three. There's a lot of other ways that people communicate. Well, there was a study out there that 90% of the American population can communicate in one of these three ways. And so if I've got one of those three ways, I can get to 90% of America. So make sure that you understand all those different ways, build strategies around getting that information, and that'll happen in a lot of your marketing that you do. Meet them where they are when you do communicate with them. Meet them psychologically in that aspect of fear where they are. technologically and how they know how to communicate. So they might be able to FaceTime or Skype or do a Google Hangout or Zoom or all these different ways. You need to know how to do all those. You can't put them in this pigeonhole of saying, hey, the only thing we can do is Zoom. So if you can't do Zoom, I guess you're not one of my customers. You're going to eliminate a lot of people. It was super funny. There's an older gentleman in our neighborhood that we met when we first moved in, and I reached out to him when all this happened. I said, hey, Carl, buddy, I understand there's a situation. You all good? And he said, yeah, I'm all good. I said, you need anything, you text me. I got you. I'll go pick it up. I'll take care of you and all that good stuff. He's like, yeah, super thankful. And so how is it going? Everything making it? He goes, yeah, we got this new cool technology. And so I'm able to meet with my men's group and my church. And I'm like, oh man, and you know me, like I want to know when it comes to technology, there's something new out there. I'm like, so what'd you get? He goes, Zoom. I'm like, so it's brand new to a lot of people. It's not like this thing that's been out there forever to everybody. And then on those communications, you need to practice them. How you're going to talk to people, role play with the psychological side, have somebody play those different roles and where they are, and then interact with them, and then do it in different ways with FaceTime and all those different tools. Practice, practice, practice. That way, when you do it, it's clean and it's perfect. Because if you're fumbling around with stuff, people are going to lose interest really quick. Clear communication will deliver on expectations. Up next is the big one. This is the one where we're like, this is going to be the key, right? Like so many of us do this door-to-door thing. And so that becomes a bit of an issue. Now, some folks are okay with it. They're like, hey, and it really has a lot to do regionally, mindset, what you're dealing with. Are you in a hot spot or not? So all those things, you need to know your message. Like, can you go out and meet people? Or is it something where you're going to do that more online? And what is your overall message? Is it this message of, hey, we're safe with that type of thing, our no-touch system, this thing isn't stopping us and it shouldn't stop you? Know what that message is that you're going to share, because you're going to want to share it across all of your marketing platforms. So how are you going to do it digitally? Guess what? Somebody now has to start making these digital ads and putting stuff on Facebook and Google and all the different places that you can do it. Who's going to do your graphics? Who's going to do your video? Do we have the skills, the talent, or the resource to do that? Do I need to outsource it? Can I use tools like Fiverr.com? Like one of my favorites is Fiverr.com, and it's the number 5, like spelling out the number 5, FIVERR.com. You can put that into the chatter if you want, one of you. And you can get people to do things for like $5. That's why it's called Fiverr.com. Now, you know, the video is going to cost a little more than that, but you know, we had a video done, gave a script to the guy. He did a voiceover for it, recorded the whole video, and sent it back to us for $160. Super cheap. I didn't have to hire somebody. And so, how are you going to get that handled? Do you have somebody with the skill to be able to do that thing if you find the right tool? Virtual door-to-door, can we do that? Is it something that we can do virtually door-to-door? And I believe strongly that you can. One of the cool tools that's out there right now is Lead Scout. And it's leadscoutapp.com. And it allows you to do some virtual door-to-door stuff where you can actually send mailers. And so, and those mailers can be very specific to the house. Missing shingles, buckled shingles, pop decking, 3-tab roof, all these type of things. You can be very specific in the mailer that you send to them, so you can share that message that you might normally have shared in a door-to-door way. Social reach. I learned an equation about a year ago that really stuck out to me. Our reputation is the one thing that we will always have. All right, we might lose everything else, but our reputation is the one thing that we always have. And there's an equation to that. It's your results times reach equals reputation. So in other words, if you have great results, but you have hardly any reach, nobody knows about you, so you have a very small reputation. So everybody might think you do great work, but nobody knows it. And so, hey, I don't know to call you. And then the reverse of that is I have terrible results, but I got lots of reach. I might get a bunch of phone calls, but boy, am I going to get a lot of negative reviews, and those phone calls are going to come to an end. And so thinking about that, like, how do I expand my reach? There's so many different ways. Email campaigns. So you've got this database. I hope if you've done any bit of digital so far for your company, the one thing you probably have is either a CRM, at a minimum, a spreadsheet or a QuickBooks export that you can do that's got a bunch of emails on it. Let's start emailing those folks about a referral program, other projects that can be done. And there's just so much more that you can do on that digital side. I'd spend a whole hour just talking about that. Then there's direct. So, okay, I can't knock doors anymore. Can I call people? Absolutely. You can certainly call people, and there you can outsource that type of thing. I'm a big believer in like doing that on our own. Like, my guys can't get out and knock doors now. Let's hop on the phone. We know it better than anybody else. Why would I rely on, some kind of sketchy, possibly telemarketer that doesn't know it like I know it, and they can't answer all the questions? We're going to have a lot more success setting appointments. And then mail, like direct mail, personal direct mail letters and things like that. There's a lot of ways to still get in front of folks. And then referrals, tapping into those referrals and having a digital referral program is super important. You might check into getthereferral.com. Those guys have a digital referral program that's super cool. And it's a good way for you to start to share that out there. The single biggest key to success in a virtual world and knowing is knowing how to generate new business. And so it's going to be you are either going to succeed or fail on that one piece of criteria, because you might be still building stuff. You might still be moving toward, things are good, but is that I'd have to be looking at my pipeline and measure my pipeline. Is that thing starting to dry up? If it is, I'd be strongly concerned about that. So now I've got it out there and I've got to set some appointments with people. How are we going to do that? You can do it through shared online calendars like Google or Microsoft Outlook. Are you going to set it up in your CRM? Is it going to be automated? So there's all kinds of automation tools for getting people to set appointments like Calendly and Appointlet. And then how are you going to confirm those things? All of those things are steps in your process. You got to define, understand, know which tool, who's going to do it, how they're going to do it. It's just super important to get that nailed down perfectly. How easy can we make it for them and us? Like, that's the key. The easier this is, the more likely you are to gain a customer. The more difficult you make it, where the more hurdles and barriers that are in place, the less likely they are to meet with you. So now I got this appointment. And so what am I going to do? I can go on site. Well, if I am going to go on site, how am I going to engage people? And so I might make a phone call when I get there and say, hey, Mrs. Jones, I'm here. Just want to let you know, I'm going to be hopping on your roof. We still all good? Yes, we are. I'm going to shoot you an email with a link to a portal so that you can watch as I go along, taking pictures and video and stuff like that. You can do that right from the comfort of your couch. We don't even have to talk to each other. And so how are you going to engage those folks whenever you do that inspection? What are you going to do on your inspection? What are you going to deliver from your inspection? Because a lot of times we kind of short circuit that when it's the door-to-door world. We go out, we take a few pictures, hop back down and say, hey, look, Mrs. Jones, this was wrong. Let me get an estimate put together. Let me work with your insurance company. And it's not really all that valuable. I got to give them something valuable now. I better have a pretty extensive report, very detailed, professional looking. You got to impress people and show some value. Okay, just making sure there's no questions. And then that report is super important. How am I going to do that? With a CRM? Am I going to use some kind of sales proposal tool like Sumo Quote or Leap? Am I going to create some kind of custom form? Do I have the talent to do that, to hop into Adobe and create something that's an editable PDF? We do those type of things for our clients, and anybody can do it. It's not rocket science, just a new skill I got to learn if I have the talent to kind of be technological. You figure things out. And then delivering on this expectations. So I did this inspection. How are you going to give them the information? It's no more like knock back on the door and talk with them, maybe sit down at the kitchen table, that type of thing. It's, hey, I need to meet with you. And so some guys are doing it right from their truck. They're popping open their laptop and they're doing it right then and there. Some guys are going back, putting together an estimate, measurements and all that good stuff, getting that detail put together, and then hopping online and going through the report with them, going through that estimate with them, and then giving them a digital presentation. But I got to set that expectation before I leave, what that looks like. And each one of these steps, as you go along the way, you've got to communicate very well what the next steps are. And then your measurement strategy, what's that going to look like? Are you going to use do-it-yourself online tools? Are you going to, old school, you can measure it with tape measure and all that. I saw one yesterday, like, how are you guys getting things measured? And there was all kinds of different ways that people were doing it. I love the Fat Max reply. Like, that's how I'm going to do my measurements. So that was actually pretty funny, I thought, because it's true. Like, if I'm on the roof, I can absolutely do that. You're going to use aerial measurements, 3D imagery, drones. There's actually drone measuring tools out there. So which one's going to be the most accurate for you in your particular situation? And being right about it has everything to do with your profitability. If you don't do this part right, your profitability is going to suffer. And especially in this virtual world where you may not be able to go out there anymore and do that on-site inspection. Somebody calls you and says, hey, I need a new roof. Can you give me a bid? Absolutely. I can pull it up on Google Maps or Google Earth, do my measurements with one of these tools, put together an estimate, and do not email it to them. And so there's a big reason for that. And we'll get to that in just a second. So now I got to do an estimate. So what am I going to do there? Technology, am I going to use a spreadsheet like I have been? Well, that's not going to look real pretty whenever you show that to somebody, maybe, unless you're really good with spreadsheets and you have some kind of output that comes out of it that looks good. Do-it-yourself online tools like iRoofing that I mentioned before. CRM, can I do it in that with some templates? Online sales proposals, there's all kinds of them that do it. Like, which one's going to be the right one for this particular situation where I can show the most value? Because that's what this comes down to. When I meet with somebody, I have to be able to be very consultative. I have to be able to provide a lot of value. The more value I provide, the more likely they are to go with me as the expert, even if they've got to pay a few more pennies. And then outsourcing. Do I outsource it to a subcontractor, an estimating firm, some of those things? And what are your offers and systems going to be? Are they going to change a little bit now because you got to create more value? What are those going to look like? And so just like the measuring, the estimating has everything in the world to do with your profitability.
Yeah. We do have a couple questions, Jim.
Sure.
I mean, this, first of all, lots of really good comments on how valuable this content is. So glad that you guys are on here. Continue to put these questions in the chat if you have, as you have them. Going back to digital, obviously digital is really important right now. Corey asked, which digital avenue has yielded the best ROI in different areas and different markets? What would you recommend right now?
Hey, Corey, that's a great question. And what you really need to look at it as is this a long-term game or a short-term game? So everybody's in a different situation. Some of you have had some pretty good marketing going on already, and you still got some leads coming on. So you might want to build that long-term game a little bit more. But if you don't have leads coming in, you got to concentrate on the short-term game. And so the quick and easy wins are telemarketing and your database list, marketing to those through email campaigns. Next up would be Facebook. I got to learn Facebook. I got to get it out in front of people. And it can't be from a aspect of get a free estimate, right? Like everybody puts free estimate or free inspection and stuff like that. I got to be unique. I got to be different. I got to write great copy. I got to write engaging copy. I got to know how to write copy, which is a skill all in of itself. And so we are actually teaching people how to write that copy in our program and Contractor Evolve and separating themselves from the herd. But if I can separate myself and I can get that thing out on Facebook and start to provide some value in a couple of different ways, you can run ads, but really I like organic. I like this organic idea of having a Facebook group and being able to share inside that Facebook group, but not, and Corey, I don't know who you're with, but not XYZ Roofing Company, right? It's Facebook group. It's, whatever city you live in, like I'm in the San Antonio area, it's the San Antonio Happenings group. And so I create this Facebook group called San Antonio Happenings, and I just post cool happenings that are going on in San Antonio. Right now, it could be the San Antonio COVID-19 safe group. And so you want a group that everybody wants to join. It could be a wellness group, a nutrition group, all those types of things. And you get a bunch of people in there. Well, when you get people together, they still have problems. And they're like, hey, does anybody know a good contractor? Boom, you're the only contractor in there and there's a lead for you. And so those are cool tools. The ads themselves will drive immediate response. Getting inside of tools like Nextdoor and things like that, you're going to be able to drive some leads immediately with that. Sharing your way of doing things, educating people on that safe program that you're doing right now and putting that out. The other thing that is working pretty well right now is the goodwill strategy. If everybody follows us at all, they noticed last Friday, we gave a stimulus plus check out. We actually gave two. One was a scholarship, one was a stimulus check. And we know people are having a tough time right now. And so that was part of our strategy. And we did it from our heart. We really do want to give and we want to help. But it's also something where people see that goodwill and you're remembered for that. You're remembered for what you did in times like these. Are you the person that stood up and said, hey, we got this? Or are you the person that sat back and didn't do a whole lot? Well, that reach is going to be magnified during situations like this. So I would say if you don't know Facebook, get to know Facebook. Some of your quick ways is to run some engaging video ads about how you're handling the situation. But there's so much that you can do in Facebook. That's an endless resource.
For sure. For sure. And we've also included some of the other resources in the chat directly. So Claudette, if you can add those to Facebook, if we haven't already done that, but Fiverr, getthereferral.com, all great resources that you can check out. Another question around CRM, Jim. So looking for a simple CRM, if they're not currently using a CRM, see the value obviously in having a database that tracks all of your contacts. What are your favorite CRMs that are out there? We know there's a lot of in the industry right now. What are your favorites?
Well, there's a little bit of bias to me for the fact that I was the director of sales for AccuLinks for almost 5 years. So there's a bit of bias for me there, but that doesn't mean that's the right tool for you. You got to assess a lot of things. You got to assess what is it that I need out of a CRM. If you're just looking for it to be a database, a recording of your people and sending it through a little bit of a milestone type thing to keep track of your customers, like replicating maybe those file folders that you have behind you that are in prospect and lead and so on and so forth. You can get some pretty simple stuff. HailTrace has a really cool one. They actually call it an ATM. I never can remember what it is, what that name is for, but think of it as the sales side of a CRM. It's not going to handle all your production and all that good stuff, but it's going to handle your customers. You're going to know where they're at in the process, and it's pretty affordable. It's probably a really good way to get started. But you've really got to assess what do I need out of that's why that process is so important, like getting that process put together. And then I can go, okay, based on my process, this is the actual CRM that I need. So that's a pretty long conversation, but if you're looking for simple, HailTrace would be a good choice.
Nice. Well, Mike, thanks for the question. Keep them coming, and I'll turn it back over to you, Jim.
One of the others, just so I don't forget them, Job Nimbus. Those are kind of the two big key ones, that AccuLinks and Job Nimbus. If you're looking for a full-blown manage my business aspect of things, and the way to kind of look at those is, one is like Apple. Their way is their way, and it's going to be their way, and that's AccuLinks. And then you got Job Nimbus, more like Google, like do whatever you want, connect whatever you want. We can do it all. Every job process that you got, we can handle. One, you got to be a little bit more technologically savvy. The other one is like out of the box, my people are going to be able to use it really easily and quickly. All right, so that's estimating. Now I got to sell it. Like I got all this stuff put together, I got to sell it. So we're going to have that discovery call where we're going to go over our report and our inspection. And our whole goal there is to be complicated. Most people think, hey, tearing off a roof, putting a roof on, not rocket science. Anybody can do that. And so I'm just going to get the best price. But when you actually lay it out, all the different things and step flashing and crickets and all this terminology that homeowners don't know, it starts to go, man, that's a little more complicated than I thought. I better get somebody that knows what they're talking about. This guy seems like he knows what he's talking about. I'll probably pay a little more for that. And then you have to have this consultative value selling aspect of things where you're asking lots of questions. First off, determining what kind of personality they have. Are they somebody that makes decisions quickly? Are they somebody that tends to wait a little bit? Are they somebody that's more interested in the results and the final product? Or are they more interested in like having the best and impressing people with it? Like if you don't know all those things about this person that you're speaking with, you're going to have a very difficult time selling them. And then consultative questions like, what are you looking for out of a contractor? What were you thinking about for your roof and the way your home is going to look whenever we get done? Are you looking for something that lasts a lot of time? Are you trying to be as budget conscious as possible? If I don't ask those type of questions, I'm not going to know what to present to people. Do I have a unique offering? And so if you're not unique right now, you are a commodity. In other words, if you sell shingles and you're a roofer and you provide an estimate, all right, I get to compare that to everybody else. But if I show maybe 3 different types of quality of shingles, and so I've got different levels of value there, and I've got a couple of different systems that I sell, and this one has all these things, and that one has all of these things plus this. You start to become a little bit more unique, more value. Can I do things that other people can't do? If you do, you become a unique offering, a proprietary offering, and you can set yourself apart. Can I add other value that wasn't there before? I mean, think about it, homeowner. You really don't want people knocking on your door, and you probably don't want people sitting at your kitchen table. So could I add some value there that wasn't there before? I know I had a fencing contractor come out and do a bid for me for my fence, and had to schedule time away from work, and I was 30 minutes before, so I make sure I'm there. And then he spent an hour and a half with me, and then he, 30 minutes afterwards. So I missed 2.5 hours of my day that I could have been productive. When this guy could have easily hopped online, I could have drawn out where I want my fence. He could have sent me the different choices. I could choose one and sign a contract online and go on about my way. And so can I add some value there that wasn't there before? Like, I can save you a bunch of time with this new process. Key things to assess: personality and communication, consultative questions, the system you have and how you're going to deliver it, digital presentation, and how does that interaction look? Like right now, I got this presentation up and that's what you guys are focusing on the most. But if I was trying to sell you something, I wouldn't be on this the whole time. I would flip back and forth between my personal view, my video, and then the presentation itself, because I need to see you. Think about that. Before, I could walk up to somebody's house. I could see the kids' toys in the yard and the trampling in the background, the hunting equipment and all that. Now I got something to talk about. Well, you may not have that thing to talk about. You might be looking at like Stan right now, and he's got some siding on his house, but and a couple of windows and a door, but it's about all I know about Stan. And that he likes Atlas. He's got the Atlas hat on. I should have wore mine today. And so where does that rapport building conversation come from now that you have this new situation? And so we discuss a lot of those different strategies. How am I going to defeat objections before they actually happen? What are some of my financial options? This interaction has changed drastically, and you are at a disadvantage unless you get skilled at virtual sales. I've been doing it for the last 12.5 years between AccuLinks and here. I meet with everybody online. I get this. I understand how it works, and I've studied it ridiculously to be successful at it. And that's what we're helping people do, is get successful really quick. So continuing, production strategy, how's that going to happen? What's your non-contact plan? How are you going to engage the client when you're on site? What kind of notifications you're going to get to people in advance? Once you get on site, what kind of notifications are you going to send them? What technology are you going to use? We got people that are like live streaming the whole project right to that homeowner's couch, which is super cool. And you got to tell the whole story now. Like, you told the whole story in your presentation, I hope, that says, hey, not only are we going to get to here, but this is what it's going to look like once we get to there, all the way through to it finishing. And then you got to deliver on that. And so you got to share that whole story while you're in production. Set next step expectations so you get done. What's the next step? And are you going to do this in-house or outsource it? Because there's some outsourcing tools out there right now for production that could be successful for you as well. Review and referral strategy. So how are we going to get reviews and referrals? Like, you got to get new ones. And there's got to be this whole new thing. It's like, you might have a 4.7 review rating up to this point, and now you don't know how to operate virtually, and all of a sudden your reviews start taking a hit. Well, once you get it figured out, then you got to get people going, hey, should we put our reviews on it? Put our reviews on. What kind of tools? Make this easy for people. And there's all kinds of technology out there for this. Podium is one, Signpost, Bird Eye, PulseM. There's a bunch of these tools that you can do. And there's a lot of do-it-yourself type tools when it comes to this stuff as well. Guild Quality is another one of those. And so there's all kinds of ways to engage people to do the reviews for you and actually manage them, so you pipeline the good ones to your places where you want reviews to see, but you are stopping those negative ones before they ever make it there by addressing them. And then on the referral side, how are you going to get more referrals? Because that's going to be key to business right now. Is like, I got this person, the best person for me to sell is the one in front of me. And once I sell them, the best person next is their people they know. And so I got to finish strong. Like when I get done, I'm going to do something cool. I've paid attention the whole way through. And I asked a bunch of questions kind of about them as I was going through. And I start to know they like the movies, things they miss. And maybe I send them a board game. They like board games, and that's what their family's doing, or they're putting puzzles together, or they're doing some kind of outdoor games. And so I sent them something that was personal to them, and and for no other reason than just to be cool about it. It wasn't very expensive, but I noticed, and that's what people want. People want to be noticed. You'll start to create some raving fans because you delivered on this whole thing you said you were going to do. It was unique. It was different. It was a great experience. You finished strong. Encourage those folks to now give you referrals. And don't go, hey, do you know anybody that can use our service? That is the worst possible referral question you can ask. You just opened up people's minds to their entire Rolodex of people that they know, and they're all bouncing around in there, and they can't even pick one name out. Section that off at different times in your process for neighbors, friends, and family. Like if I say neighbors, you can think of all your neighbors' names just like that. If I say everybody, then you can't think of anybody's name. So friends and family, who they go to church with, associations they're a member of, groups they're a part of, organizations they're a member of, all of those different little sections allow me to go, I know somebody there, and they can give a referral. Have a referral plan beyond, hey, I'll give you $100 if somebody becomes my customer. First off, if that incentive is all wrong, like I got to wait and hope that somebody becomes your customer. And then when they get done and pay you, you're going to pay me. So that could be 6, 8 weeks, 3 months. I need something now. And so if I give them some smaller incentive, maybe a $25 gift card or something like that right now for connecting me with somebody. Well, if they connect me with 4 people, that's $100. How many am I going to sell out of 4 people? I'm going to sell at least 2. I don't know about you. You just got to figure out your closing percentages. And then technology. Put this referral program into a technology. I mentioned get the referral, but there's all kinds of ways to do this. You can do it on your website. You can create cool programs that are like giveaways and contests and stuff like that. It's really important that you do something a little bit more engaging and more incentive oriented than you may have been doing in the past. If this wasn't a focus before, it better be now, and you better be really, really good at it. Recruiting and hiring. So recruiting is marketing. You got to think of it that way. So I'm out there marketing going, hey, we can hire, like we're doing well. We've got this whole strategy figured out. We're getting leads and we got people that we can work with. And so we got to market that opportunity. Like, guess what? Talent's abundant right now. I think it was something like 10 million people lost their jobs in 2 weeks. To me, that's first off heartbreaking. And secondly, I got to do something about it. And I want to get the best people. So make sure you go after that talent that's out there. You're going to have the best opportunity to get talent you've ever had in the history of your business. Prior to this situation, finding anybody that was any good was like pulling teeth. They're out there now. Bring them in. They know what to do, and you can get them up to speed really quickly. Ad placement, where you're going to put those things. ZipRecruiter is a really good place for that. There's one other one I never can remember the name of, 2 common ones. Tiara or Stan, do you have any help there? I can't remember the name of that second one. They're the 2 most common ones. It's not Monster or any of those.
Yeah, it's Indeed.
Indeed, yep. Gina, thank you very much. ZipRecruiter and Indeed, only place salespeople go. So if you're looking for salespeople, it's the only place they go. And don't put it in anywhere else. You're just blowing dollars.
Absolutely.
You're going to have to write great copy. Like I said, it's marketing. You got to write great copy. You got to get somebody going, wow, that sounds really cool. And I really want to be a part of that. And I don't want to put too much information in there either, because if there's not enough questions, nobody contacts me. Assess people. So you want to put some kind of assessment thing into process. You can meet people online. We have people hiring folks right now without ever even meeting them, putting them to work, putting them through training programs, and getting them selling without ever meeting that person. How cool is that? It's like super cool to me. Leverage your team. So who does your team know that somebody may have lost a job and they align with your culture and core values? And mine social media, pay attention to it. Look for those people that are out there. The goodwill type stuff will bring them out of the woodwork as well. And then the hiring aspect of things is actually the sales side of it. I got to qualify them first, make sure they're a good fit. I got to assess them, make sure they have the skills and talents that we need for a person of that position. I'm going to interview them probably online, and then I'm going to hire them. I'm going to hire them in a congratulations, you made the cut. You got to be elite. You got to make it a big deal that they came to work for you. If you come from a place of desperation, nobody wants to work for you, especially the heavy hitters. Heavy hitters like to be told they can't work for you. They're like, hey, I don't know if you guys can cut it or not. This is who we are, and this is what we're all about. And most people can't make it through our deal. Every heavy hitter will go, give me that, right? Like, oh, I'll prove you wrong. And so that's the guys that we want. And then onboard them in a very cool way. Like, for example, send them like a roofing starter packet to their house on the day that they start. And they get a couple of shirts, a hat, the cool tools that they need. And you can be as creative there as you want to be. We have one company that sends a Snickers bar to every single person. And that Snickers bar is to be used when somebody's acting like a jerk. If you've ever seen the commercials, like they give the Snickers bar and the Roseanne bar turns back into the person, the nice person. That's awesome. What that Snickers bar is. So there's all kinds of cool ways to onboard people. Yeah, it's fun stuff, and you can make it fun. I read a stat or heard a stat from Matt Grassmeyer with Hail Trace last week. 90% of people, this is going to blow your mind, 90% of people decide whether they're going to treat it as a job or career the first day. If they treat it as a job, they know they're quitting at some point. If they treat it as a career, they're going to stay forever. 90%. If you don't make that first day powerful and important and caring and coaching and all the other cool stuff that we should be doing, if you're just like, hey, fill out this paperwork and go watch these videos, or hop online with me, and you don't do anything that's rememberable and remarkable, they make that decision that day. It's a job. Or, man, I love working here. I want to stay here. And then training. So I brought somebody on. How am I going to do that? So there's technology. We have our contractors training room. If you just go to contractortrainingroom.com, you'll find it. We can train people virtually. We take it to the nth degree in there. It's not this high level stuff. It gets all the way down into determining people's personalities, reading body language, understanding psychology. And it does have all the higher level stuff too, how to have those interactions. It gets into everything. There's about 250 hours of anything and everything you ever want to know about selling and marketing in the roofing business in there. But you can do your own. You can do Trainual or Kajabi. You look up either one of those two tools and you can put videos online, record yourself. One thing I would caution you there, if you don't know how to coach people, you don't know how to teach people, it's not going to be very good for you. If you don't know how to reinforce people, we have this thought process of high performance learning plans. And for the last 2.5 years, I've been really focused on learning how to learn, which you think I would know by now, but that's not the case. There's a lot more to it than I thought. Like originally, I just thought, hey, put a video and a quiz, we should be good, and then everybody will learn what they need to learn. But it's like I watch a video, I take the quiz right after, I'm going to do great on it because I just watched it, right? And I'm done. Well, there's no reinforcement. There's no quiz coming back 3 weeks later going, hey, take this quiz again, no video this time. How different are the results? Did they retain it? Did we engage a peer and have them practice with a peer and have that peer go, yeah, they did it, and that was good. Empower people to learn what they need to learn themselves. So in our tool, we actually give you the ability to choose like anywhere from 2 to 5 different things along your journey. And so I'm in control of my learning, all of those things headed to the same direction. But different things are important to different people. For example, like telemarketing might be important to one guy, like, hey, I can do that. But another person might be more about Facebook marketing. Well, let them choose which one of those 2 things is going to get them to where they need to go fastest. Reinforcement of it, and then management engagement. So I've been working with my peers. Now I'm going to go to you, the manager, the guy leading me, and I'm going to role play this thing. I'm going to practice. I'm going to show you what I know. And then we get this opportunity to coach back. You got to take training way more seriously than we do in our industry, especially during times like this. It isn't if you have the knowledge, it's how you share it, coach, and reinforce it. Okay. Things that you learn in one shot, like a video and a quiz, you might retain about 10% of it for about a week. That's about as long as it'll last. So in summary, this is hard work, but it's worth it. It's going to be something that like, hey, when this is all over with, you got a new way of operating business that's way more efficient, way better for the customer as an experience. you get a cool new way of doing business. Time is of the essence. Everybody that is hesitating on this thing and going, hey, I'm just going to wait it out. I've seen people like close their doors, which I'm like, seriously, I don't care how bad it gets. Like, let's say it's martial law. You can't leave your house. Like, I don't think that's going to get the case at any point, but where a lot of us are into this stay-at-home thing and we're not considering essential business. So, I'll shut my doors. No, what a great freaking time to build your pipeline. Like, seriously, start getting these people on a list to say, hey, when this is all over, we need to come inspect your home. When this is all over, and you're number one on the list, 2, 3, 27, 126. And when this is all over, you got this pipeline to go to and just crush that you can maintain for the rest of your career. And it's amazing. Like that, I'm sitting here as a sales guy going, God, this is the time I've prayed for. I don't have all that extra crap I got to deal with. I can just market and put people in my pipeline. So find your champions. Make sure you find those people with those skills and talents and put them and empower them to do great things. Develop your strategy and have it be detailed so that you can get people to buy into your vision. Decide if you believe or not, because that's what it's all about. If you don't believe in what it is you're selling, you'll never take action. I hear this all the time. Take massive action. Take massive action. I think that's Tony Robbins' big deal, right? Well, it's hard to take massive action if you don't believe in what it is that you're doing. And that process that you're following, and then it's going to be successful. So you got to get there first. So if you believe in it, take that action. All right. Get everybody else involved in taking that action. So that's the presentation for today. I would highly encourage asking some questions real quick, and we'll take those. So you guys, anything and everything that you want to know about what we're doing. If you need to find out more about our Evolve program, you can go to contractorevolve.com. There's a couple of videos there. One's a short one on top about why we're doing what we're doing, just to give everybody kind of a clue to this. Our whole idea behind this was, hey, over about a 5 or 6 month time frame, we're going to charge 20 to 25 grand to turn somebody into a virtual contractor starting in January of next year. Well, for less than $1,000, we're doing that in 30 days right now. We feel it's a responsibility of ours to be stewards of this industry. We are a symbiotic relationship. We can't survive without making some money, but we are going to do this much cheaper than what we had planned for. It's a bit of a gamble and a risk on our part. Maybe we teach everybody and we don't have any more clients anymore. I don't think that's going to be the case, but it's something we're doing for the situation right now. And when this kind of comes down, and we're going to go back to our previous plan with this. If you want to find out more about Contractor Coach Pro, that's our website, contractorcoachpro.com. If you want to ask questions about any of this stuff, you can text me at 830-355-3255, and we'll get those answers back to you. And you'll actually see one of the cool tools that we teach people that we use to have those text interactions. And then my email address and a little bit about me.
Awesome.
So let's handle any questions.
We had an interesting question that is, I think, something that I think we should absolutely bring up. I think it's not necessarily totally related to all the content, but I think this is it's kind of a question I think a lot of people are talking about right now. Like, what should we be doing? What should other people be doing? But we had Leonard said, I'm a contractor and I just don't understand why other contractors think it's okay to be doing installations right now. You're only supposed to be doing emergency repairs and estimates. So, I think it's a little bit, it's certainly related, but right now, you're sort of laying out a lot of things about how contractors can be preparing their business for a virtual world, a virtual environment, really talking about leadership and training and hiring and onboarding and getting ready when things turn back around. But you do have a lot of people out there that are still working and doing things and maybe, pushing the boundaries of, what essential is right now. What are your thoughts on that, Jim?
Yeah, I'm pretty, I don't know. Me personally, where I'm at right now is we're going to hurt our medical system if we don't act responsibly. And this is my opinion. So I want to meet people where they are. Everybody's in a different place on this. This is where I'm at. I'm worried about our medical system because if we break our medical system, we break our economy for a very, very long time. If we be responsible, do the social distancing thing to an extreme. If you see any of the countries that got ahead of it, they went extreme. They're like, don't leave your house. Figure it out, right? Like, we don't want you out unless it's an absolute emergency. But everybody's in a different place. That's kind of where I'm at on it. I'm still coming to my office because I have a private office. I have that ability. As a matter of fact, the cops showed up here on Saturday and said, what are you doing here? And I said, well, I'm going to let you determine that. I feel like I'm an essential business right now because I'm working with 40 contractors to help them get through all this and advise them how to interact with people. And this is the way I believe. He goes, yep, you're essential. You're good to go. And he was cool with it, especially with my setup. It's private. I don't have other people around me. I'm okay with you wherever you're at with this. If you don't think your crews should be out there, don't put your crews out there and build your pipeline. If you think your crews should be out there and you keep it to less than 10 and they stay more than 6 feet apart and they sanitize everything and they wear gloves and masks and all that stuff, all good. Like, I'm okay with that. I am on this like essential, right? What does that word mean? And is it more about you or more about somebody else? Because a lot of people can go, I'm essential because if I don't do this, I'm not going to make any money, right? So it's essential to me. Or is it essential to my neighbor and the person I care about and the person that I could affect by being irresponsible? I would like to think that most of us look at it that way. I think in times like these, I've been in a lot of different situations like this, hurricanes to be specific. I was in Hurricane Harvey, if anybody remembers that, and it like rained on us for 3 straight days, 53 inches of rain in those 3 days, and it flooded the entire city of Houston. We quit worrying about all this stuff, right? The race, the religion, the politics and all that. We really just went, I got to help. I got to do the right thing. Well, I hope and pray that we do the same thing in this. So Pedro had a question. What's the difference between Contractor Coach Pro and Contractor Evolve? Contractor Coach Pro is our main website. That's where you would find out about our one-on-one coaching and some of the other group coaching offerings that we have. That is and still is a standard part of our business. We're still coaching people one-on-one right now. And in all honesty, we lost about 40% of those folks because of the situation. They're worried about it economically. It's fairly expensive, but all of those people went into our Contractor Evolve program. Contractor Evolve, we created a whole new website for it so we could market to that website and give you a place to go to directly to find out more about that program. It is powered by us. One of the things I didn't mention is we've got 23 experts in there helping you. There's people in marketing, there's people in virtual sales proposals, there's people in CRMs, there's people in every aspect of what we do in this world. We've got a guy that's a professional virtual sales presenter coming on today and working with our people. And so that's been a big thing. I'm so grateful and thankful for folks like TR and Stan that have helped us get this message out. Our experts that have come in and given their time for no payment or anything like that. They're just coming in and giving their time to help folks. And it's been powerful. It's been really cool. The results have been off the charts good. We the 7th day of the first week, one of our contractors signed 25 contracts without knocking a door on Sunday. One of them, we do our wins every day. One of them was like, I thought I had 4 or 5, and we had our meeting and we had 14. So I was super excited. Like, that was cool. I got 14 new contracts. So these guys are building business. And the one I really like is the one that's generating leads. Hey, I got some leads out of this new thing that I never did before. So that's the cool thing about it. That's the difference. You can find Contractor Evolve at that website, but it is done by us along with a bunch of experts helping out.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that this is such valuable content. And I think that, the thing too is you need to be seeking out resources right now. And you're an incredible resource. I think that there's a lot to be gained by, not only in reinvesting in your processes and procedures, but also just, thinking differently about your business, because this is going to have a lasting impact and is going to permanently change parts of our industry and parts of our businesses that, some of which we can see and predict and some of which we can't, some of which we're not really even sure what it's going to look like. So I think getting ahead of the curve and just being aware of these things is important. We had I really loved the last section, Jim, that you did on, getting employee buy-in and, that whole idea that, you're going to have people that are going to view it as a job or a career right off the bat. We had one of our sales reps present at our national sales meeting about owning versus renting your territory. And, it really impacted me personally hearing this guy, named Josh Romano talk about this. And I think it's really, really clear too. So, when more people are bought into the career path and the leadership and the direction and where you're heading, and this idea of like change is going to be good for everyone, the better everybody feels about it. But everybody knows the renters, right? Everybody knows the people that aren't bought in, and that affects culture too. So the more you can get everybody flowing in the right direction, I think is really positive. So just outstanding stuff, Jim.
Yeah. Every Monday we meet on marketing and lead generation. Tuesdays are e-documents and process and inspections. Wednesdays are sales oriented and presentations. Thursdays are finances, both from a business perspective and from a offering, financing and billing and invoicing. And then Fridays are the leadership days. Like, how am I going to lead this team and keep them engaged and get them on board with that, which really and truthfully is the key. It's the key to all this. Like, if they don't believe in you, they're not going to follow you. And to be honest with you, I like people that are willing to crawl through glass for me. And my team stepped up and did that for 2.5 weeks, 16-hour days to get here. And I hope yours does too.
It's awesome.
There's a question from Michael Frobach, looking for drone recommendations that read storm damage. I believe there's one out there called Certify. Is one of those, and there's another one that I cannot think of off the top of my head for some reason or another. But if you friend me on Facebook, you can find me, Jim Johnson. I know that's a hard one to find, but if you type in the Jim Johnson, I will come up because I put a little "the" in front of my name, and it made it easier for people to find me. If you friend me, I'll do a little research and get that information to you.
Awesome. Well, Jim, like Stan said, I can't thank you enough for the time today. I think we've had a ton of really great feedback in here from Facebook to the chat, and we just want to encourage anyone out there that as you're going through and making an impact, doing good in your communities, stay in touch with us. Let us know what you're doing that's working. Let us know what you're doing that's not working. We want to continue to have these conversations because they are important. So until next time, be sure to check us out next Wednesday. We'll be right back here. And this week we still have our Thursday Pro Talk coming up. So looking forward to seeing you guys then. Thanks.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Reach out.
Thanks, guys.
Ask questions. That's what we're here for. And we're here to help you guys get through all this. Appreciate it, everybody. Thank you, Tiara.
Thanks.
Thank you, Stan. You guys are pillars of our industry, and I really am honored to be considered a friend with you guys.
Awesome. Us too, man. Can't thank you enough, and keep doing what you're doing.
Thanks, Jim.
I'm not planning on stopping anytime soon. So let's get after it.
You got it. All right. See you guys. See you later.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
All right. We're off.
Thanks, Tiara. That was fun.
Yeah, that was great.
I didn't see all the comments. I missed a lot, and